Danger can come in many forms, from on-set accidents to the angry mobs that are outraged by what a movie portrays. That's why in this list we'll be covering all sides of the dangerous coin flip that making a movie can be. What's going on, film fanatics, and welcome back to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers, and if you happen to be new here, we cover all things television, movies, and beyond the screen. So tap that subscribe button to join our notification squad, and make sure you leave us a comment down below with what your favorite action movie is. Also, make sure you stay all the way until the end of this one because you won't believe our #1 spot. Now, without any further delay, let's get right into today's list of the top 10 most dangerous movies ever made. In at number 10, The First Temptation of Christ. Created by the Brazilian comedy group Porta dos Fundos, the film is a satire of Jesus when he returns from the desert on his 30th birthday. Although when he comes home, he isn't alone. Instead, he walks in with a flamboyant man named Orlando. The writers do an excellent job of inserting several innuendos suggesting that the pair are more than just friends. Although the film also negatively portrayed other biblical characters, it was the insinuation of Jesus being gay that really enraged the public. A petition was started to have the film removed from Netflix, which has since been signed by nearly 3 million people. The Brazilian Catholic organization said in a statement that the movie hurt the honor of millions of Catholics in the country. Backlash over the film, though, was not just a civil online petition. On Christmas Eve, a group of hooded men threw Molotov cocktails at the company's head office in an attempt to show that they mean business. Luckily, no one was hurt, but the hypocrisy of the Catholic Church will always amaze me. They protect and move priests around that have assaulted young boys, but then get upset over a comedy. Makes sense. In at number 9, The Interview. Long before Donald Trump ever met with the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, the comedy duo of Seth Rogen and James Franco made a movie about trying to assassinate him. And North Korea hates outside criticism that judges the way that Kim runs the country. So a movie about fooling the leader into an interview for his own vanity before trying to take him out came off as a threat. In fact, when the film was released, North Korea called it an act of war. Although an act of war in the eyes of Kim Jong-un could be as simple as someone beating him in a jet ski race or not clapping long enough in his presence. Weeks prior to the film's release, Sony suffered a huge cyber attack that compromised a ton of internal documents while simultaneously threatening theaters that were showing the film. In at number 8, The Hangover Part 2. Being on the set of a comedy film may make you think that there's no danger to be had, but for the screwball comedy that was the Hangover series, it was all about the danger. While filming on location in Bangkok, the stunt coordinator Russell Solberg made a terrible judgment call that would change the stunt performer's life forever. Scott McClane was the stunt double for Ed Helms, and during the scene where he sticks his head out of the window of a moving truck, he's supposed to just narrowly miss an oncoming car. To get this shot, the timing had to be very precise. However, right before rolling the cameras, the stunt coordinator made a last-minute decision and told the driver of the truck to increase his speed significantly. More specifically, to increase to a speed unsafe for this stunt that would undoubtedly lead to a major collision instead of just a close call. McClane, though, didn't know any of this and was going off of an earlier direction. As a result, he suffered a massive head injury and had to be airlifted to an Australian hospital to treat his brain trauma. Scott had to relearn how to walk and talk, which most doctors believe that he would never do again. In at number 7, The Expendables 3. The cast of The Expendables is jam-packed with Hollywood's biggest and baddest action heroes. However, even though they may appear like superheroes on screen, the reality is most of these guys are really old. For starters, Sylvester Stallone had a terrifying fall that resulted in him needing a metal plate put into his back, adding to the other one in his neck from an injury he sustained on the first film. But yeah, he keeps coming back. Antonio Banderas also injured his knee on the first take, but the worst accident of all happened to Jason Statham.
I'm in the truck there and I slam on the brakes where I'm supposed to stop. Nothing happens. Next thing you know, I've hit 2 cameramen. I literally thought I'd killed them. It was like a split second later.
And what was meant to be a pretty routine shot quickly transformed into everyone's worst nightmare. During a test run with Jason behind the wheel, the truck's brakes failed. He then went off of a cliff and into the Black Sea. Everyone on set was panicking except for Statham, who according to eyewitness accounts, calmly swam back to safety as the truck sank to the bottom of the sea. Jason, however, told Jimmy Fallon that he was definitely not as calm as people would like to think. While underwater, he thought, how am I gonna get out of this? This is how it ends. Luckily, his instincts kicked in and he made it out unharmed. In at number 6, The Eiger Sanction.
Look, you better get up there before you panic. Those pens are loose. You're very good. I have really enjoyed playing with you. We'll make it.
This film was actor Clint Eastwood's third directorial debut and was meant to capture the events written about in the popular novel of the same name. It was a story about a retired assassin brought back for one last job of climbing the infamous north face of the Eiger, which is where the film actually was shot. Yes, they filmed on location of a 13,000 foot mountain in the Swiss Alps. What could go wrong? Eastwood though was known for taking risks, and in one shot he did just that. There's a scene where he dangles thousands of feet from the ground that he didn't want a stuntman for because they were using a telephoto lens and zoom to show his actual face. He wanted the audience to see that it was truly him hanging from the mountain. As shooting went on, the dangers became more apparent than ever before. As climbing advisor Mike Hoover was supervising shots of falling rocks, a large boulder fell out unexpectedly, killing stuntman Dave Knowles. Clint wanted to cancel the entire project, but the remaining stuntmen came together and said that if they didn't finish it, then their colleague would have died for nothing. In at number 5, Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. The Resident Evil films have never been a big success with film critics, but have always been reliable in terms of making money. Out of all of the video games that were made into movies, this one has made the most money by a long shot. Although the ravaging zombies were not the only danger that existed on set. During a motorcycle stunt, a camera rig failed to move out of the way in time, leading to their stunt woman Olivia Jackson suffering from multiple horrific injuries. Her injuries were so bad that they were forced to put her into a medically induced coma. During an interview with Glamour UK, Olivia recounted the incident saying, "My face was degloved and the artery in my neck severed. My sister saw my teeth where my cheeks used to be. Morphine numbed the pain of my shattered shoulder blades, severed crown, collapsed lung, brain bleed, and broken clavicle, ribs, and vertebrae." Yikes. Additionally, her left arm was paralyzed to the point where they would later have to amputate it. Sadly, this wasn't the only major incident on the set. Just a few months later, crew member Ricardo Cornelius was crushed to death when a Humvee slipped off its rotating platform and pinned him to a wall. In at number 4, Twilight Zone the movie. By far, this has to be one of the most infamous on-set deaths in modern film. On the last scheduled day of filming for the 1983 movie of Twilight Zone, actor Vic Morrow and 2 child actors were killed in a horrific accident. Please actually brace yourself for these extreme details because they're very brutal. Due to an improperly timed special effects explosion and a low-flying helicopter, the pilot was unable to keep control. The next thing they knew, the helicopter was crashing on top of the actors, crushing one of the children and decapitating the other along with Morrow. The director, the special effects supervisor, and the pilot were all charged with and later acquitted of involuntary manslaughter. In at number 3, Natural Born Killers. Based on the original screenplay by Quentin Tarantino, this 1994 flick starring Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis was directed by Oliver Stone. In the film, 2 lovers go on a killing spree, and just like in the movie, a real-life couple decided that they wanted to live out this plot. 2 teenagers who were obsessed with the film decided to carry out a series of copycat murders that they would later boast about to their friends. They even copied the murders in the movie scene for scene, starting with robbing and shooting the owner of a liquor store. In at number 2, Roar. Now, I mentioned this movie on another list, but honestly you can't make this list without also including the film Roar. It is without a shadow of a doubt one of the most dangerous movies ever made. Directed by and starring Noel Marshall along with his daughter, this movie was dubbed the snuff version of the Swiss Family Robinson by its own distributor. The definition of danger for this point is one that considers the life-threatening injuries to members of both the cast and the crew. For one Dutch cinematographer, this was his first real Hollywood experience, and at one point he was even scalped by a lion that resulted in needing 120 stitches, amongst various other horrific injuries by real live lions. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, The Conqueror. The second last film that Howard Hughes ever produced will be one that would haunt him for the remainder of his life. The film was shot in the Utah desert, which just so happened to be directly downwind from an area where the US government had detonated over 100 atomic bombs. A year before the film commenced shooting, the government had detonated an astounding 11 atomic bombs. At the time, no one really understood the damage and risks of being this close to a military test site. Even the Atomic Energy Commission had declared that the area was safe. However, in the decades that followed the Conqueror's release, no less than 90 cast and crew members had died from cancer, which is believed to be from the massive amount of radiation that they were exposed to while in the area. This on-location mishap took the lives of John Wayne, lead actress Susan Hayward, and director Dick Powell. And that has been the top 10 most dangerous movies ever made. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Also, make sure you give us a follow on Instagram for tons of behind the scenes content. Links for that will be in the description below. And while you're there, why don't you leave us a comment with your thoughts on this list. Plus, for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is tap that playlist when it comes up on your screen. From Top 10 Beyond the Screen, my name is Johnny Rogers, saying until next time, stay safe. And during a scene where he sticks his head out the window of an uncanny and Antonio. As a climbing advisor, Mike Hoover. As climbing advisor. It is one of the most profitable. It is one of the most profitable video game. It is one of the most profitable video game adaptations. It is one of the most profitable video. My mouth is just shutting down.